Excellent. So thank you very much for coming today. We're going to talk about what it takes to pass the bar. And my name's Nick Alcock. I'm the owner of Alcock & Associates. And before I hung my shingle, I actually was a tutor for the bar. And I taught about 60 students, and 59 of them passed. And the gentleman who didn't pass, I don't think really employed my system. And he passed the second time after he failed the first time. So I know that the system works, and I know it's something that if you actually do it and you're diligent about it, that it works. And it's pretty much not guaranteed, but it's going to give you an advantage over other people who are sitting for the bar that don't use the technique. Okay, so when I talk about the bar exam and I ask you to think about the bar exam, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Oh man, intimidation.
Okay.
Friday the 13th.
Right. Stress.
Fear.
Anxiety. When I was studying for the bar, I was always dealing with people who were calling me, and they were constantly insecure. What are you doing? What are you studying? What outlines are you using? And you could just feel like that anxiety and the stress and just the the bubbling up of all of those insecurities. And so when I took the bar, I got into the big hall room in Tucson, and there was a woman next to me who sat down. She looked at the test, she got up, and she very visibly was about to throw up, and she was like running out of the room, and then she went into a bathroom, and everyone could hear her throwing up. That it just, like, the stress got to her, and she just folded. She just couldn't deal with it. So I don't care how prepared you are, I don't care how much studying you do, if you're not mentally in the right place to take this test, you're going to fail. I guarantee you, I know the woman who was throwing up. She was probably the smartest person in the room, but she just didn't have the constitution. She wasn't mentally prepared, psychologically prepared to deal with the stress of taking the bar exam. And that's the first thing that I'm going to tell you that is the most important issue. You have to, right now, dissociate that stress when you're studying, when you're preparing, when you're thinking. You've got to deal with that in a way so that you can overcome that, so that when I say bar exam, you don't say fear, stress, anxiety, loathing. That shouldn't be the first association. It should be fun. It actually is fun to study for the bar. I'm going to make it fun for you. And it will be a game. And it'll be something that you can do when you're walking down the street, when you're working out, when you're in the shower. You can always be studying for the bar with what I'm going to teach you. So I want you to get out of that mode of like, oh my God, this is just overwhelming, this is so stressful, I can't deal with it, to this is a game. The game is how much crap can you shove in your brain. The game is how much can you memorize. You're going to find out a lot about yourself. And wouldn't that be good to know how much you can actually jam into your brain? Like I had fun studying for the bar, and I had fun taking the bar, because it was just, for me, if I failed, I don't care, I'll take it again. This is just more of an exercise in learning about myself. And I like big challenges. I like putting myself in that mode. Okay. First thing I want you to do when you start studying for the bar is clean your room. Wash your clothes. Organize yourself. You can't start entering information into your brain if you're cluttered. If you live in clutter, then your brain will be cluttered. If you have, wrinkled clothing and your trash cans are full and your sink is filled with dishes, then you can't study for the bar. So number one thing is clean your room. Once it's clean your car. Once that's done, what I want you to do is I want you to run around the block. You're clean, you're organized, you're going to sweat out whatever anxiety you have, and you're going to put yourself into a different mental state. Where now don't you feel better after you clean up your room? Don't you feel better? Like, okay, you feel better about yourself. So before you study, you want to do things that will make you feel better about yourself. So whatever those are, whatever makes you, a happy person, do those. So clean your room, get a little exercise, get the blood flowing, go take a shower, and I want you to get all your outlines out and get a nice, beautiful little art pad, sketch pad. And this thing is going to be your savior. This is what's going to make studying fun. And get some nice pencils and pens and just clean. You want to be organized. Don't study with other people, because they're just going to bring that anxiety with you. I mean, you can if you want to, but my advice is don't. You don't need other people. That's a crutch. You know, when you're commiserating and I'm just so stressed out and da-da-da, that's not helping you at all. What helps you is focus, organization, clean, you're organized, you got everything laid out. Okay. When you sit down and you're studying, how do you memorize stuff? Repetition. After you've repeated something in your brain 8 times, how do you know if you really have it?
It's hard to say.
You don't. Okay? That's why you stress out, because you don't know if you have it. You don't know if you've got it. And you're worried, I just spent my day studying, I'm going to go to sleep, and when I wake up, I'm not sure if it's going to be there or not. That's that stress. You don't know if it's going to be there, right? So how do you study?
Memorizing the outline, usually 3 items at a time, and then if I can write that outline back again, you know, at least a couple times, then I think I've got it. But, you know, I still have the same anxiety, you know, from the night, you know, like going to sleep and then into the next day, will I still have it? And then half the time I can't write it back down that next morning.
Okay, so that's incredibly inefficient, because you're basically just wasting your time. You're wasting half of your time. Half of your time is wasted. And you're also going over it and over and over it. And so you're not actually learning the law. You're just doing some little exercise to help you categorize this information. And so all that anxiety of, am I going to have this the next day, feeds upon itself. Because then the next day when you can't remember it, then you start to freak out. Because you're like, oh my God, I spent all this time yesterday studying. Now today, I don't have it. I'm going to fail. It plants that little seed in your brain. And then that seed starts to grow. Okay, I studied, in 15 minutes, I was able to memorize Shakespeare's plays in the order that he wrote them. And I had never spent any time studying Shakespeare's plays. It can be done. 15 minutes, I've got it. That was a month ago. I haven't thought about it until yesterday when I just went through it again, and I have it. The technique that I'm using is a technique which has been around for centuries. It's not, you know, something that's my copyright. It's something that truly exists, it works, and it's much better than phrases or repetition or anything like that, because you have it. Once you put it into here, it's there. As long as you got to go back and you got to go over it every once in a while. So you're probably wondering, how is that possible, right? What you have to do is create stories and use visual techniques that associate a given word with an image. If you looked around this room right now, you could walk into this room, you could look around for 2 seconds, and then I could have you leave the room, and then 15 minutes I would say, what's in that room? And you would be able to tell me, right? How long does it take to look around a room? So your brain is just hardwired. It's ready, absolutely ready, willing, and able to absorb a ton of visual information, categorize it, and then you're able to recall it extraordinarily easily. So if I walk into this room, I say, okay, well, there's a long desk. There's probably about 15 chairs in there. I know that there's a globe in the corner. There's a dry erase board here. There's a glass wall. There's a view. There's, you know. But if I had you write that down and things weren't visually connected, it would be very difficult for you to memorize that list. Much, much more time would be spent you going over 15 chairs, globe, dry erase board, you know, window. That would take you much longer to go over that over and over and over again rather than just seeing it. So what I'm asking you to do is you're using a different part of your brain. This is why it's fun. Because studying now isn't just going over this list of words until you have it. It's actually turning those words into images which can be very funny or very obscene or very sexual or very ludicrous or whatever you want it to be, and it turns it into something which is like, okay, this is interesting. This is something that I get.